Of course, there it goes.
As soon as he clicks live, now
All
we got a
right.
bunch. We can hear you, and we see some dots. Welcome everyone. It's me and the AI formerly known as Sean. He's just a series of blue bouncing dots now. Kind of an upgrade in the looks department, I think. So, series of bouncing dots. What's your opinion on JavaScript? I need a better hot take than just JavaScript. It's too low hanging fruit. Now wait. Why are you inverted now? Why
because
the
chill?
windows
Just chill out for a minute, man.
I'm trying. You're turning my world upside down and mirroring it.
Chill out. 1 second.
This isn't the real Sean, folks. He's long gone. It's just an imposter. Great. Now he's just changing reality to suit his needs. Rearranging matter.
That's what you get for using iPhone as a camera.
It's the best camera I've ever had.
No, I just need to get a new phone because the charging jack port, whatever, on my phone is real sketch.
It's not the cable, it's the jack.
No, it's a jack.
Oh, lame.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got to get in there with a toothpick and get the pocket lint out.
It's not that.
Not that. Lightning is an okay connector. It's not a great connector, but he's prone to issues like that.
So, Paul, I mean, this phone, it's the original 10, so.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's probably time. Android phones are unmaintained Linux distributions you carry around. I don't have any problem with that except for the unmaintained part. One blackened pin? I'm not familiar with this. Is it like a power pin issue or arcing or something, Paul? Also, I love how the tweet has the it's formatted for web with the
I think it's probably connected via Wi-Fi again.
I think so.
I'm not touching it.
There's always one pin that gets dark for some reason, and it's when the cable becomes unreliable for me. I've gone through so many lightning cables. I need to check all my lightning cables right now.
Yeah, this works no matter what cable I'm using, so I figured it's just the actual port on the phone. It has to be slightly like I put the cord in and then I pull it to the right, and then we're good.
How black are we talking here? Does it look like oxidized? This one looks kind of... Is it like a middle pin? Like the fourth one over? No YouTube live stream. Sean, that's your department.
I would like to stream on YouTube as well, but this service we use, which is letting me down more and more every week, does not allow us to.
Oh, yeah. Lightstream doesn't support... Well, you have to like pay $1 billion for it or something, right?
No, you have to pay for a separate third-party service.
Oh. Yeah, we don't have that good sponsor money. We don't have that Squarespace money, okay?
The problem with Streamlabs, Brian, is that it's more of a pain to get guest audio and guest video into the streams, because right now we just send someone a single link and it just works. Whereas with Streamlabs, we have to manage that portion of it ourselves. And there are solutions out there, but it's just another dependency.
Yeah, Thomas says we could build our own. We've talked about it. We've definitely talked about it.
There's OBS.Ninja, I think, is maybe one of the more popular ones that I've seen that's similar. But then it's like...
RTC-based thing.
Yeah, RTC based thing, but then people have to use like Chrome specifically, I think, and then there's like a bug with a certain version of OBS where you have to install an Electron wrapper and run that before opening OBS. It's still paper cuts all the way down.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks.
Paper cuts all the way down. Now I'm frustrated.
We haven't even started yet.
No. How's everybody doing now?
Yeah, what's going on out there in chat world, chat land?
Yeah, very quick week it felt like.
Yeah, mine blew by. Can't believe it's Thursday already.
I lost almost a full day, I feel like, of work to sitting in the vet parking lot.
Oh, poor Watson. Poor boy.
I don't think he was getting treated the whole time. I think he was just sitting in a kennel waiting his turn while we sat in the parking lot.
Just like the doctor's office, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sick day? How do you get sick day if you're wearing a mask all the time? I guess there's other ways of getting sick. Or unless it's a sick day. That's fine too. Oh, yeah. No good.
The retainers of Couture refuse to include a Swagger UI kit. Interesting.
Huh.
Is it K-Tor or Couture?
Knights of the Old Republic, right?
I mean, yeah, that too. Also, the Kotlin web framework by JetBrains.
Ah, okay. Oh, JetBrains made it?
I believe so, yeah.
Interesting.
They made Kotlin.
What was the thing you guys were talking about earlier? Some kind of .NET thing for macOS?
.NET thing for macOS?
Has a weird name.
Mono?
No, some kind of editor, like render. It's a one word.
Oh, Rider.
Rider. What is Rider?
It's a .NET editor IDE for cross-platform.
Why do all the things have such dumb names?
What's dumb about it?
No consistency. When I think of Rider, all I can think of is Line Rider, that little game with the penguin where you like draw the lines. Rider. .NET IDE, interesting. This is extra interesting because like .NET already has an IDE. It's called Visual Studio. Like, yeah, I get it. It's not cross-platform, but yeah, the .NET, we were talking about this before in the chat. The .NET experience on VS Code is kind of not great from the very limited time I spent with it. It'd be nice to have a real .NET IDE. I'm pretty sure it's a penguin, Paul. Now I'm doubting my memory. Line Rider. Someone had better comported it to like HTML5. Oh no, it's not a penguin. Why do I remember it being a penguin? No, it's definitely not a penguin. Yeah, see, they have all done it told. I never, I guess I never scrolled over to that part of the menu.
It's a big menu. They got all sorts of stuff.
Couture.
I mean, that's the pull for me, I guess. It is like if I were doing game dev or had to do C# or .NET or whatever, I would just install Rider and be immediately familiar with at least the tool that I have.
Cool.
Yeah. We can probably get rolling, I suppose.
So, folks who were giving us ideas in the chat, we did write them all down and document them. I think a lot of them are great. We're definitely going to do them at some point. We think today we'll talk about Paul's suggestion with the why does the living room look like a flea market? I mean,
Roasted.
you're not wrong.
I'm familiar. Paul, do you have a limit to? Do you try to
Yes.
have a limit to the backlog?
Backlog is the right word.
30
What do you
tickets. That's it.
How do you
Stopping
have
everything?
What happens is you just don't accept things. You just start deleting things.
The limit does not exist. Yeah. Theoretically, you would then say, "Hey, we need to have a sprint where we focus on the backlog. The backlog's getting too full."
But then,
or you have priority conversations and things like that.
I feel like this is a discussion for the show,
Yeah.
not for the pre-show, the unrecorded pre-show, the VOD only pre-show. I could have sworn it was a penguin, Paul. This is like some Berenstain Bears shit.
You ready?
Sure.
All right. I push the button.
Oh, I gotta find the icon. Go. All right, I'm recording. Check, check. Boom.
Check, check.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. We should be recording from like time equals 0, probably.
We need some
But-
AI-assisted tool to tear out the silence and produce a podcast.
Well, I mean, we could do Marco's smart speed, but no, I just like I don't know what I would like to do with all that extra content. Like, we want the show to be the show, but sometimes some really good stuff happens after the show. But where do you put that?
YouTube clips.
Yeah, but I'm in audio. I was thinking audio, like podcast format.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I wouldn't want it to be wouldn't want to edit it for starters. Like, it would just have to be a raw thing that I would just cut out and just post somewhere. I don't know. Oh, excuse me.
Brian was telling me that he was following somebody that has a stream lab, like a stream deck, I think it's called. You okay, buddy?
I'll make it. I'll pull through.
It's a stream deck, so you slap a button and it takes a clip, a Twitch clip, and then it like opens some app, throws some branding on it, and then uploads it to YouTube
Mm-hmm.
as a clip.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's
I mean, you don't need a stream deck to do that, but
You just edit it live, Rockwell. All right, we gotta do the clap.
you got to do the clap. And thank you, Thomas. I like the shirt too.
All right, ready? One, two, three.
Were we both just waiting for each other? Is that what just happened there?
No, I watched the Twitch stream manager instead of the light stream admin. Because the light stream admin it refreshes every few minutes for me. It's really annoying.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
There's really nothing out there that's does guests as well as they do guests. There's got to be something.
If I remember correctly, Streamlabs' own documentation says use Skype and clip the section of the screen.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. That feels like the idea of like there's got to be something out there is very. It's my web dev career.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Why am I doing this? There's got to be something out there.
Usually there is.
Why are we doing this? There has to be something out there. Yeah. I don't know. The complete opposite of not invented here syndrome, I guess.
Invented somewhere else syndrome.
Yeah. If I wrote it, I don't want it. Because I wrote it. Yeah. Well, how's your week so far?
I don't know. It's already been a week apparently. Feels like it's been a day. But it's been fine.
Got by pretty quick.
Pretty quick. Jumping around doing a lot of things over here. Hacking on some software, hacking on some hardware, fixing bugs, doing support. You name it, I've done it.
Fixing bugs, doing support. It sounds so like fixing bugs, yeah, but like doing support is now so foreign to me, like foreign sounding to me.
You're so
talking to-
far removed from that now.
Well, it's interesting because I do have clients I talk to. Now we got rid of the every morning like IRL via Zoom stand up, and now we do 3 times a week instead. And I would eventually like to flip it to Tuesday, Thursday instead of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the rest of the time we just have async Slack stand ups, which I prefer actually. I mean, they are technically the client, but they're not like the end customer using it. So there's like a layer of isolation there for me, and it's kind of strange.
Paul's asking if I'm on the front lines actually answering tickets. The answer is sometimes. Usually someone else handles them if it's stupid stuff. When it's a technical question, especially related to something that I just pushed or a bug that hasn't been addressed yet, that gets routed right to me, and then I get to deal with that person. As far as like tech support goes, though, we actually just brought on one of our youths from our youth program to do support for us, which is awesome. Like, he's super enthusiastic about what we're doing. And so to back up a half step, like we have a youth program where if you're under a certain age and you're interested in ham radio, you get a bunch of free access on the system. We're using it to promote the hobby for young people, and because no one else is really doing it or doing it well or at all. So that's where we find really, really awesome, technical, smart people who get what we're doing. And so we recruited one to help us do support tickets, and it's working out great. Honestly, it's really, really nice. The Utes,
Youths. Yeah. So actually, I do have something that has been on my mind that I wanted to talk to you about, and it's funny. We were asking in the Discord earlier. Shout out to Discord. Everybody listening to this should join the Discord. See the show notes. But Paul, we were asking the Discord for like, hey, do you have any topic ideas for tonight or things that you have been thinking about? And a friend of the show, past co-host of the show, Paul, was asking about our sort of pull request flows, like, working with a team. Like, do we make time for it? Do I schedule time for it? How does that work in my workflow, I guess? And interestingly enough, I've been thinking a lot about this because in our sprint retros, we've been talking a lot about how the client that I have, they're a startup, smaller startup, and they definitely run development like a smaller startup. So by that, I mean priorities changing, features changing. We'll be in the middle of a sprint and someone will come in. Hey, the boss just said we got to do this feature now. And so we'll stop what we're doing and switch everything, which means that I have to make sure that the new thing is planned. Like, do we even have a plan for building it? Is it documented? Do designs have to happen? Do the designs have to change based off of like devs looking at it? It's just like, it's not just like, switching directions one day and just everyone being productive. There's like a train that has to turn, right? Or like a bus, I guess, that has to turn. And we're definitely not as agile as I used to be with just when it was just me or Paul kind of like doing things. Lindsay would come in and say, let's switch it. Paul and I both already had the context. We already like sort of knew what had to happen. Or if we didn't, the only person that would have to figure it out would be us. And we wouldn't have to disseminate that information across the whole team, right? So basically, go ahead.
Yeah, just coming back up just a second.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a trope name for this, but in a movie when like someone asks a dumb question and then that's just an excuse to like get exposition out of the way to explain to the audience what's going on. So you have to treat me like that person in the movie. I have never dealt with this kind of flow at all. I know what pull requests or merge requests are, but I don't even understand where they fit into the workflow at all. So just like, if you want to like start with basics and just kind of walk us through like what that even means and how they're used, and then maybe you can get into like the nitty gritty of kind of improving that process. Because I again, I'm asking just because I'm curious and I want to know how these tools are actually supposed to be used in something other than like the open source world where I've seen them before.
Sure. So I guess like in the open source world, you use a pull request to sort of do work in isolation. And that way maintainers can look at it in isolation. They can pull your branch down. They can look at the thing and then you can converse separately about as many different pull requests as there are open, right? So when you have a team, pull requests also sort of become doing work in parallel. All right. So I guess it's a similar idea, but it might be a little bit different in that the pull requests has sort of been designed to work in a way. So there might be a specific order sometimes to the pull requests.
Are they typically forks of the repo, or are they just different branches?
Just different branches. Yeah.
Okay.
Just different branches. Yeah. So, sometimes they have to be orchestrated in a way that they happen in a certain order. So that's been one of the hardest things for me to learn, actually, coming into this role is, okay, I can technically like take an app or a problem and break it down into manageable tasks, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Then, you add a team onto it. It's like, okay, it's kind of like what we talked about last week with Eric in I think the pizza example where, you can be making one pizza at a time and you might have 3 employees. And so if one person's in charge of grating the cheese and one person's in charge of doing the crust, and one person's in charge of doing the sauce, well, the sauce and the cheese have to be done after the crust is made. So how do you do that work in parallel? How do you unblock the other 2 employees? And so that's been one of the hardest aspects of this role is looking at these projects and being like, okay, if I make a task like create this page template and then create this reusable view partial, and then after that, say, create actually implement the route that renders these things. If I say do the route first and then create the view, like what's the route gonna render? Like a no-op until the view's ready, and then you have to update the route component anyway to, you know what I mean? It seems very petty, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's honestly one of the hardest parts about this. And so, yeah, do you have any follow-up or questions thus far?
Quick follow-up. Shy Ryan in the chat has confirmed that this is called the Watson trope. I believe Watson from Sherlock Holmes, where someone takes the role of asking questions, so where someone takes the role of asking questions the audience may be asking, so someone can answer and explain. Or it could be referring to your dog. I don't know.
The Watson trope? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this I think is really apparent. And like, I always got frustrated with the CSI shows because they would do this like so much. Yeah. I don't. Anyway,
don't tell me, just show me.
Yeah.
The visual medium.
So I guess up to that point, like, PRs or pull requests or MRs if you're using GitLab merge requests, same thing. Oh God, and chat's now talking about rebase.
That's like a whole other can of worms, right?
I hate it so much. I think one time I made a branch and I was working on stuff and I got busy with other things and I came back to it and develop had moved so far along when I went to rebase, it was like an 80-step rebase.
No bueno.
In that point, I did not rebase. I just did a merge and said, screw the branch history. I'll just collapse the commits when I merge this anyway. So, yeah. So where were we? We got to the point where we're using pull requests as like a tool to sort of make sure your developers aren't blocked by each other.
Sure. So you've got some develop branch, you fork off into a feature branch. They're doing their thing. They're quote unquote done. Submit an MR. Mm-hmm. With some comments and a merge request back into the development branch.
Yes.
Okay. So yep. I'm following so far.
Yeah, and so other things that we have to consider here are, now that you have a team of developers, you may not be aware of what the other person is working on and vice versa. Like you may have context that they don't have and vice versa. So that means that now when you're submitting your pull requests, you have to like submit documentation with it, like videos, screenshots, what did you do and why? Because the rest of the team, we have to all review each other's pull requests, look for mistakes, check for whatever, like linting almost, right? But also just checking for mistakes. We help each other click test things, just extra pair of eyes. And so now you have to go through the step of, making sure that, I guess how I like to approach it is, if I have a pull request and you don't really know much about what I've done, I don't want to make you have to go and do the research to get up to speed. I want to be the one to do the work. All you have to do is look at the README or the PR description and you're good to go. But sometimes that means like making a screencast, recording animated GIFs, showing before afters if it's designed.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah. And then you have as many people on your team doing the same amount of work. And so this has been one of the interesting things that is one of the harder parts of my job that I didn't really think would be a hard part of my job. Like besides making sure things are done in parallel, making sure that I'm actually dedicated the time that I should be dedicating to, verify quality of the software, verify that the original intent of the ticket was actually done correctly, right? So there could be something lost in translation in someone took a Jira ticket, they read it a certain way, or I miswrote it, and they did all this work, made a PR, and I look at it and be like, actually, that's not what we really wanted.
Well, actually,
yeah, yeah, and also there's like teaching opportunities too. Like if you have junior devs on your team, it's a good opportunity to help them grow as developers, like teaching concepts, do this, don't do that, etc. Right? So yeah, they become such an important sort of piece of the process, and they take up so much time. But it feels like you're sort of, in my position anyway, it feels like I'm always sort of scrambling to get back to them. Like they're always there; they're never going to go away. And I think this is why Paul was kind of asking, like, what does your workflow look like? Because it feels like I'm always rushing, and I don't want to put Paul words in your mouth, Paul. So if you want to pipe up in the chat, you can. But personally, for me, it feels like I'm sort of always rushing to get back to them, because if I'm not doing, MR review, I use MR and PR interchangeably because my current project is on GitLab, but I use GitHub a lot.
Sure.
But if I'm not spending enough time and I'm not like making sure I'm improving stuff, then things get backed up, and then you have another problem because your developers weren't going to wait. They're going to take on more tickets because they want to get the work done. And so suddenly, if they have 2 or 3 or 4 MRs open, then they're context switching. So you might make a comment in a PR and they're like, okay, what is this change even about again? And so now you have 2 people that aren't familiar with the code anymore, which is an issue. And then like the chat was saying earlier, like rebasing and things like that. So with the rebase, you typically rebase because you want the order, like you want the Git history to be a certain order. So with rebasing, you can do it interactively, and you can actually like sort of rewrite the history and make sure the commits make sense. And so let's say that I have a PR open and someone commits stuff to their PR and it's merged in, develop. Now there's something new there. And so if that happens over and over again, I might start to get merge conflicts, so I can't merge my branch in. So then I want to rebase, which means that I want to put my work in the Git history. I want to put my work on top of the work that was committed between when I open my branch, right? Because if you just merge it, it'll insert your work in the middle, but you might want the history to be on top, or your history to be on top, right? It's easier to follow that way. Turns out the rebasing can lead to a lot of conflicts, and then you end up manually having to piece work together, which really sucks.
Yeah, I'll never forget this time that at Agilent, I wandered over into the a couple aisles over to the applications team. We were like it was called physics team, but we were like the underlying API that provided data to this higher level, like, customer facing applications team. And I wandered over there, and they had a whole different set of processes than we did for their team. And we had our own branching problems to deal with. This is all on Team Foundation server, right? So I walk over, and there's this guy, and he's just like sitting there with his like head in his hands, like just resolving merge conflicts. Like it looked like he'd been at it for hours, and he still had hours to go. And I looked at that, and I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine what this must be like. And what not a waste of time. I don't know. It just feels like a waste of time, like a waste of a perfectly good developer's time to have to deal with all these conflicts.
Yeah, and some teams have very, very strongly held opinions about always rebasing because they care about the history of the commit history being clean, right? Some teams might not. So we mostly rebase, but if it's like something nasty, then we'll merge in and squash the commits when it's merged back in. So that way you just see basically one commit entry for a branch being pulled in instead of the whole branch history itself. Yeah, but so we've been talking about the importance of this, and then you throw that onto the loop, and then the worst thing you can have happen is your employees context switching, because you're not the original author. Then in some sense they're also not the original author, and then you really have to rely on comments and documentation to kind of piece things back together, and it's a mess.
And what happens if you get? And Paul alluded to this as well. What happens if you get a a PR or NMR that is, he said spicy, and I don't know what spicy means, but I'm going to interpret that to mean maybe controversial, maybe implemented wrong, maybe the developer went the entire wrong direction and it's just basically throw it away and start over. What do you do in that kind of situation where whatever you're going to merge in is just not going to cut it?
Yeah, I mean, you could, depending how much time you have and how much time you have like to spend on doing this, right? So, you could branch off of their branch and make some updates and make a PR based off of that. And
interesting.
But that takes time. And then you still have to converse about, right? You still have to converse about the first one in the first place. Secondly is you can use whatever review workflow exists in GitLab or GitHub, right? So you can leave comments on, what we do is we just leave comments on lines. We don't use like a review feature per se. We just leave comments on lines. And then we have a policy where at least 2 other team members sign off or approve the MR before it goes in.
That was my next question too, is who actually reviews these things?
So everybody else on the team, we all share the duty of reviewing each other's code. I don't have a hard rule that says unless I've approved it, like it's not Sean plus one other person. It's usually 2 people, and I usually can get to everything. But if it's a time sensitive matter or if I'm away from the office, like it's going to be happening tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, then usually 2 eyes is enough for me to feel pretty okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. So to get back to like Paul's original question, like what does my workflow look like? Do I schedule time for it? How do I prioritize this? The answer is I don't have an awesome workflow for this. And I brought up the startup, the differences between like startup and this team stuff, for a reason, and I'll talk about it in a second. But the answer is like, I generally start work before other people around me, or before people start talking to me. And so generally what I'll do is I'll get up, I'll take Watson out, I'll make a coffee, and then I'll sit down and I'll just go right to GitLab and start looking at code. And I'll usually save my busy work or like department kind of work for after the stand-up, because that usually breaks my flow anyway. So pre-stand-up, I'm trying to get into a flow state where, people are leaving me alone. People don't know I'm there yet or like at Slack yet. And I can kind of just focus in, and then I'll try to do stuff then. And then generally later in the afternoon, my meetings have happened. I've gone through and like looked at Jira, looked at tickets, made sure everyone's unblocked, did whatever coding I need to do. So I usually reserve time at the end of the day as well. So I usually start my day with it and end my day with it. So I guess technically that allows me to catch blockers from the day before, and then at the end of the day, I'm trying to make sure that when the devs start their dates the next day, they're unblocked as well.
Yeah, sure. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Assuming you can stick to it and you're not totally overloaded, right?
Yeah, that's best case scenario, of course.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. I have a lot of like, depending on the project lifecycle, I have a lot of calls. Like I've been, we were hiring a web lead, and so I've been interviewing. Like I've been having to participate in interviews, and I say that like they're dragging me through the mud to do it, but I've been taking part in interviews and reviewing code submissions and things like that. So there's extra time there. I was on another department project where some iOS devs were learning TypeScript and React in an effort to help out more with React Native stuff, because we get a lot of React Native work. And so I was sort of advising. Whenever they got stuck, I would jump in and get them unstuck, more or less. Mm-hmm. So I'm in stand-ups for that. My day just kind of gets whittled away. I generally have 2 or 3 days a week where I have like, 3 or 4 hours where nothing's going on, but it's generally like every other day that happens. So it's very, very, very different from what it used to be like when I was at DK and Sidedoor.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I bring up the startup stuff because this is another thing I'm sort of struggling with. Like our client, like I said, is a startup, and like I said, priorities change, things happen on a whim, decisions are made in reverse and remade depending on who you're talking to and like the position of the most senior person involved in the conversation, and so. I guess for me, when I was in that position a lot, I sort of tend to burn myself out because I think that things are moving so quickly and the pressure to produce was there that I didn't really have sort of packaged deliverables in a sense. So there was never really a huge sense of closure for things because we'd ship a feature and then immediately, some person in another department would be like, all right, we have to change this about it. And then they'd come back with another request about a different feature that launched the month before. We've got to change this thing about it, right? So in a sense, there's never really like true closure on a thing. And so you have all this context in your head all the time. And I think for me, after a while of 4 years, it just kind of like weighed on me a lot. And that's probably a me thing. That's probably a culture of the company thing. I'm sure people can produce just fine that way, but it was hard for me. And what I'm realizing is that because our current client is sort of like this, we're sort of falling into the same thing where, tickets from one sprint will jump into another one, and we're sort of planning for it at this point. This one probably won't get done, but it's here and it's important that we remember it. So we'll put it in the to-do column, and if it goes into the next sprint when it starts, that's okay. But what ends up happening is that you start get that same feeling, and I noticed that my devs are starting to feel maybe similar, where it's like Groundhog Day feeling, like if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now what I'm trying to do is figure out how do I break the habit off of me, and how do I make my main goal really is to make sure they feel productive and not like they're stuck in Groundhog Day and not like feel like features are actually getting finished ever. I mean, they're not really ever finished, but the deliverable is finished. Mm-hmm. And so, now I'm trying to figure out like the tools that I have. How do I do that? I don't know if I answered Paul's questions, by the way, but the only thing I can think of is unblocking people by starting in the morning and starting my day and ending my day with them. But yeah, so now I think I'm trying to figure out like how do I give them that feeling of, okay, we have closure on this thing and we can focus on the next thing, and we can like really get focused on it, not like have to have all this context moving. So the only real tool I have is Jira. So well, I'm starting to try to use the road mapping tool more, which is a Gantt chart more or less. You create an epic, you put tickets in it, right? But we weren't really using that before. So now we have like an epic for things. Like if the UI kit got refreshed and we have to update all this code to match the UI kit, I made an epic for that. And so I keep track of everything we need to do for that. And so I can see it on a calendar. Okay, this is the time we're dedicating to updating these tickets. And so when that's done, we might have more work to do, but there's like a deliverable that's done. And if there's more work to do, then it helps me analyze, where did that work come from? Did we miss it, or was it added during? Because one of the issues that happens right now is that the UI kit's sort of always in flux. And so the work feels never done. Like, didn't I just update this? Didn't that just change? Why are we changing it again? Kind of feelings. So I'm hoping that maybe adding a little bit more rigid of a structure, even though that worries me a little bit, will help us kind of keep track of these these ongoing changes that keep coming into the pipeline, and just kind of weighing the devs down.
Yeah, we just started using Jira at RHR and Confluence as well. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I have a hard time even just trying to figure out where to put things, like just me, right? And I'm even having a hard time figuring out how to best organize my workflow to do these things. Like I don't even have any epics really, because I don't think everything I do is so like this or that, like you said, context switching a lot. So I don't even have a place for a roadmap to exist right now in terms of those epic things with like subtasks in them. I'm just the day-to-day like dealing with the Kanban board and the ever-growing backlog, right? That's pretty much how I'm working right now. We don't do any kind of agile thing. We don't do any kind of real structure to how we do things. We just have a weekly meeting where we just yell at each other for an hour and a half, which is fine. That's how we work. It's good. But
right.
it's not really yelling at each other. It's just yelling so that you're heard. It's different, a subtle difference. Right.
I think that the chat is going off right now about Jira and stuff.
I like it. I really think it's okay. I'm like when we first started this, I went to the Discord. I was like, "Hey guys, I know you hate Jira. Tell me why." And yeah, it was the same thing. Maybe I just haven't gotten too deep into it yet. I think it's fine. I think the way they lay things out is great. I think it gives you enough tools to it looks nice. It gives you enough tools to like organize things the way you want, as long as you don't, go overboard trying to over constrain things. I think it's fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. So
we're migrating away from Basecamp into Confluence.
yeah, I had good experience with Basecamp when we used it for side door, but the person that was I wasn't running Basecamp, so maybe that's why I was just participating in it. So yeah, and this goes. I don't know if this was before we started recording or after, but I was asking people like, do you impose all these? There's so many rules to like agile methodology, right? Like, I learned of one this week that apparently people implement or institute like a backlog rule where your backlog can't be more than 20 or 30 or however whatever number of tickets.
Good luck with that.
And then you were like, okay, well, what do you do if it hits 30?
I'm already at 23, and this is just me like by myself. In 2 weeks of work, I've got a backlog of 23 and 8 on my board.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's an interesting idea to me, because if I'm trying to compare my current experience to my previous experience. And so I had experiences in the past where we were using a Notion, basically a Trello board, and the tickets would keep growing. And then suddenly people stopped putting tickets in for stuff because they would say things like, well, the tickets never get done, so why should I add one?
Yep.
Which is a horrible attitude to have, but also that's indicative of another, like a different problem, right? Like, okay, maybe you shouldn't just allow anybody to slap a ticket onto the to-do column, right? Like, I remember there was one ticket, please make a mobile app. The chairs one is nice. That was the ticket. Blew my mind. I just left it there.
Closed.
It's probably still in that Notion document today. So that
you want to know how we get rid of tickets?
How's that?
we just switch platforms. We started on we've gone through Fog Bugs, we've tried Basecamp, we've tried Notion, we've tried GitHub Issues, we've tried there was another one, I forget even what it's called now. Like, we've gone through them all, and every time we switch platforms, we're just like, that stuff didn't get done, we'll just leave it behind and just start fresh in the list. It's just it's just a sawtooth pattern. It just keeps growing, growing, zero.
Yeah, so I mean, it was interesting. Like, I heard that, and then I kind of had the same question, like, well, what do you do if it gets that many tickets? And the first thing that came to my mind were like, well, maybe those are conversation starters. Like, when you get over a threshold, you need to have a conversation about priority.
Sure.
Or expectations, maybe, which are definitely conversations we didn't really have at Side Door or DK in any real capacity. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I like about having this gigantic backlog is you start to see patterns, right? You start to see things that are grouped together that are, touching the same part of the application, or are people requesting the different facets of a similar thing. And then you can sort of kind of group those together and identify like, oh, this is a group of things I need to work on at once, and just kind of take them all out, like if I have a bunch of little UI tweaks that need to be done, like I don't want to, context switch and go in and do that stuff and change it. Even if it's just a simple change, right? I'm just going to go in, I'm going to find all the little stupid UI style button menu verbiage things that need to get changed, and just go in and do those in one clean sweep, and and be done. So that I think that has value for me, is trying to identify those patterns and just identifying greater weaknesses in what's actually going on and what people want. And
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of figuring out how I want to use Jira, like with labels and features and things like that. I'm starting to catalog it more. Like, okay, the UI kit's changing a lot. Why is it changing? But also, how many changes have we had? Kind of stuff. So that way I can go talk to someone who will fix it, right? Talk to the producer, be like, hey, we're having a lot of design churn here. What's going on? How can we fix it? How can we make it stop? I guess really at the end of the day, it's more like I treat myself kind of like a robot in some ways, especially when I'm working alone, where I just kind of just like shoulder through walls like an idiot, like ram my head against stuff until it's done. But people, like, I guess maybe I'm learning more about people and about how important it is actually to manage expectations and manage, like, make sure somebody feels productive, like they're doing good work. and make sure that they have momentum and energy on their side, right?
Yeah, so Matt M is bringing up a really good point in the chat. He says that my last job, we had the concepts of prioritized and unprioritized backlog that helped me with feeling like I could ignore the bulk of the backlog since we pulled out the important ones for now. I like that because to me that says prioritized backlog is things that actually need to get done. Unprioritized would be, hey, we don't want to forget that we had this idea, right? Yeah. That we just need to document that this is the thing that we might want to work on. Let's start the thread for that without having it feel like you're being bogged down. I do like that. Maybe those things should go in another place. I don't know, but prioritized versus unprioritized. But then you got like ultra prioritized, right? I mean, that's a slippery slope, I guess, but it's a cool concept.
The backlog, they had backlog and up next.
Yeah. So backlog. That's how I'm kind of trying to treat it. Like my backlog is like not even touching it. Then my to-do column in my board is like, currently like is kind of my up next, right?
I've seen Icebox before, and if I remember correctly, that was there was a bolt, like a service you could bolt on to GitHub, like Waffle or something like that would turn like before GitHub had projects, and they had Icebox, which meant like things that were stalled out, they just sat there forever,
Icebox.
Yeah, Icebox. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I guess like really the point I'm trying to get at is like learning more about people and what makes people feel productive and feel like they're doing good work, and how I can facilitate that through process.
Yeah, we could spend all day talking about the tools and everyone's different processes for those. But
yeah. So does that give you more insight into like what it's like working on a team with like pull requests and sprints? And so I guess like I can expound on it a little bit. So like imagine the team is now there. You got your developers, they're working together. You've got a sprint planned out, and everyone's kind of working together in tandem. Ultimately, how long are your
sprints, by the way? Just curious.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Ultimately, the sprint will come to an end, and you have to have another sprint ready for them. And so that's been another struggle of mine, is trying to think a week or two ahead. And I guess what helps is that offsetting Fridays, when the week that the sprint starts on that Friday, I will have a sprint planning meeting for the next sprint that will start, and then at the end of it, I'll have a sprint kickoff for the next week. So I have like kind of offset, and that helps a little bit. But yeah, you hit on top of like making sure you're getting back to MRs and PRs and making sure the team is unblocked and they have the answers they need. The code is reviewed and its quality and all that stuff. Then you have to look at, okay, what's coming up next? Do I have to look at designs? Do I have to be in calls with the designer? Are we scoping the work? Are we building this feature first? Then you have to go through the rounds of like, do designs make sense? Are they UX friendly? Do they solve the problem that the client has? And then once you have that, then you have to chop it up into tickets. And so then you have to, again, you just start from square zero. How do we do this in parallel? How do we have 4 people doing this at the same time and not have them blocking each other? Which again is the hardest part.
So in theory, imagine you have this mythical team of rock star developers. They never write a bug. They write everything to spec. They write clean code. It's perfect, interoperable, reusable, beautiful, the most beautiful code you've ever seen. If that was the case, could you just have a bunch of people just merging into one branch and just doing their work and not have to deal with the whole MR thing?
No.
Why not?
It would be, well, I guess it would, if typically we're not working on various different features of an application, we're working on similar parts of the same feature or the similar parts of the same application at a time, because the client will come in and be like, okay, we're going to work on this specific feature and here's what we need to change. It'll take 4 developers to do it, but we're still touching the same pieces. So you'll still run into conflicts.
I see. Okay. So it's not a question of someone needs to like check your code, or, it's not a question of accountability. It's more just working in parallel. The problems associated with concurrent scheduling.
And like Paul is saying in the chat, like PRs are good from a human perspective as well, because you have to have a place to discuss changes. Not even like, is it like exactly like you're saying, not is it the code good? It's, did we do the right thing?
Okay.
Right. Or sometimes it's even, I have an old phone with the weird version of Safari on it. I'm the only one that can test your branch on this version. That's maybe a bad example, but it's a staging area. It's a place because we're not always just going to be pumping code out continuously. So the other devs are going to need time to discuss the work, making like I said, we're making sure we're doing the right thing. Does it make sense? And also, we're all learning at different paces, and so one person can have really good maybe abstraction design, and the other person can have really good UX awareness. And so, would you want the person with great abstraction design just merging in, like maybe good code, like technically good code, but maybe not having advanced eyes on UX on that branch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still think you would need them to do things effectively, like because they're a lot of the documentation can be extracted from PRs, things like that. A lot of like linting, formatting, dependency checks. I think that's a big thing too. One thing I catch a lot is, we're adding this dependency, but it's really heavy. Is there an alternative? Can we avoid that? Especially long term on a project, keep slapping mud on the side of it. It's going to turn into a brick.
Are you reviewing PRs before the point at which they're ready to be merged in? Like, are you actively keeping eyes on what people are doing when they're in the middle of working on their branches, or do you wait until the deliverables are quote unquote ready?
I typically wait until. So I guess I should preface it. I should also say that the PRs, when they're opened up, they're not 100% ready to go. We use work in progress PRs.
Got it.
So people open up PRs when they're sort of like at a snapshot point. And that's kind of our policy. I guess we've kind of decided to do that as a group. So I can look at a PR and maybe head something off. But I think the other point to be made here is that I think that I really, really harp on, hey, if you're not sure of something, ask. Always ask first. Like always DM me or ask in the group channel, because if I don't know, someone else will know. And because I say that a lot, I think that we're in the good habit of kind of like helping each other check on that stuff. And early on, it wasn't necessarily like that. And I had a developer say like, I don't want to bother you. And I have to keep on saying like, well, I don't mean
please
like I have to
bother
keep on
me.
saying it, but yes, please bother me. It's important. I would rather be talking to you than, in this other meeting, waxing poetic about how the leads do our jobs to the other leads, But yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, also the other thing that I'm sort of still learning is just giving up complete control over code, right? Like,
yeah, that's a big problem I have.
We have the people with varying skill levels, and so one developer might always go for the complicated solution, always, and another developer might go for the most naive implementation, always. And so for me, being a good lead, I think that's part of my job, is like understanding the person's tendencies and knowing when I'm able to help them go towards the right abstraction or the right solution in a given area. And I think part of that, yes, this costs money, and yes, this costs time. Part of that is letting them put up an MR where I will say, we should have done this instead. But how else do you get those learning experiences?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe that's a controversial take because people are like, but my money. But like that was done for me, I guess, right? But having control over everything for so many years, it was really difficult for me to kind of accept that, like, this person, they have things that they're good at, and they're going to submit PRs that I might disagree with, and it's a give and take. And I think the other part of it, like I said, learning your developers, being a part of that team and learning your developers, that allows you to sort of, if you're assigning tasks, guide them to the task they're going to do well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Or not, I guess, if they're like if you have enough time and they want to learn, like have them tackle a challenge. But that's sort of like feedback that I got too. I was told by my manager, like, hey, so and so would like to challenge every now and then. So I was like, okay, we can do that. And so instead of just assigning a challenging task, I'll say, hey, do you feel up to this? Do you have any questions? Can I help get you started at least first, and then let them go on their way? So yeah. And like Paul Straw is saying in the chat, coming across PR, he loves coming across PRs where he's like, this is not how I would have done it, but it works great. Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Like, did not think of that. That's a great idea. Thank you. which honestly is one of the reasons why I came to MetaLab, because I wanted to work with more people. I wanted that experience.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's interesting. This is interesting to you.
It is. Just for some background, my experience developing with the team was for 2 years was literally I don't even remember if we did feature branches. I think we just had a develop branch that we all just committed on, and then eventually someone merged that into like the main release branch, or like forked it off into the 7 different releases that we had to do for different teams.
Mm-hmm.
That the branches that would continue on ad infinitum. But like only once or twice have I ever even done a code review. Like I was always just basically cowboy coding around the develop branch, and that's how we did things. And if you did something stupid, one of the higher ups, or one of the not higher ups, but one of the more senior engineers would see it and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Or at least question it. But there wasn't really a lot of oversight beyond that. Like he would have to have caught that and come over to your cube and like tell you like what the hell's going on.
You know what? I did that yesterday. Well, I wasn't the one catching. I was the one making a mistake. So I've been doing this thing where trying to get to everyone else's PRs and knowing I have time off, so I was just rushing. And so we had a change I was making to the lowest level we could be making to this project, and sort of how the theme is composed. So that way we can use MUI's theme utilities like theme.spacing. You give it a number and it gives you the pixel value. So that way we don't have magic, numbers floating around. And the typography stuff, theme.h1, theme.h2, whatever. I was making a change how those were composed, so that way when we're overriding MUI components, we can use those pre-configured theme spacing values, but still pass in our overrides to the end theme that gets spit out, right? So I make a base theme, put all the colors, typography, and spacing in it, and then we make another theme where we put the component overrides, right? Well, one of our devs was like, "Hey, you should do this," and I was like, "Hey, that's a really good idea. It's going to be useful to you," and I did it. And I broke it when I did that, but because I was in a hurry and it worked before, I didn't retest it. And so it got merged into develop, and I was looking at Storybook and I was like, this isn't right.
Get blame. Oh, shoot.
It was me. So what I did was I went into Slack and I was just like, hey, everybody, I broke this thing. I'll fix it momentarily, I fixed it, but yeah. That's
okay. Literally last weekend, I broke an entire feature by fat fingering command / somehow and commented out a whole function that disabled a whole bunch of functionality.
Yeah, so that was me. But I wanted to be like, hey, it was me. It wasn't any of you. It was my fault. I did this. And this is this is why I did it. I was in a hurry. Mm-hmm. So yeah. In fact, we had our retro today, our sprint retro, and I brought it up. Where at the end of the sprint, we just talk about how it went, what can we do better, and are there any action items that we can take away from the sprint, which I really like. And that was my thing. Is like, I screwed up. I was in a hurry. Let's not be in a hurry.
Are there any other systems out there that you're aware of that exist to solve these kind of problems? I mean, you're limited to what the tools can do, but I don't know what other modern processes that people have in place to like deal with these sort of developers working on concurrent things. Do you know?
I don't know, honestly. I haven't like Agile feels like the thing, right, that everyone talks about. We're not even totally Agile. We just follow some of its rules, but I think everyone sort of like picks and chooses pieces from Agile or whatever other framework exists. Like I said, I don't know, but yeah, I think everyone's sort of Frankensteining it, to be honest.
That's probably true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's I'm finding value in it, definitely. Like I always thought before that too many processes were bad, and I think to an extent, like there's an extreme where too many processes are bad, but I'm finding that a lot of things that I'm doing these days where I really wish I would have been doing that in my previous companies. Maybe I would have been more successful if I had some more of these processes in place. Again, it wasn't always just on my shoulders. Like it takes everybody in the company to embrace it for it to work. But I think that finding just enough rules to make you productive and solve enough of your problems, I think has been really helpful for me. Yeah. So it's been good. It's been a really good experience. I'm enjoying it. I think like I'm having code challenges where, I'm writing TypeScript and React, which I don't think I'm an expert in. I can kind of suss things out, which is what I'm relying on now. And I've actually started using some of the stuff we talked about last week with grokking simplicity, like thinking in layers. Like, hey, is this component reaching too deep into the stack?
Cool.
Should we be extracting here? Like, that's been helpful. In fact, I talked to the team, and they have the book actually, and we're going to work on a MR or PR kind of guide where here's some high-level things to look for. Some technical things, some UX things, some design things, so everyone can have some input. But maybe like a PR playbook for this project that hopefully will help save us time. And then once we have those down, we can level it up, right? We build a foundation and then we could stand a little bit higher on it,
I really like that idea because especially if you're leaving comments on a PR and you have some sort of documentation that's like literally, section A, paragraph 3, word 5 or whatever. You can just reference that in your thing, and you don't have to spend a whole time explaining it. It's just like, hey, this violates this thing that we already established ahead of time. No need to try to explain yourself or justify it or type it all out. Just be like, yeah, this is reaches through too many layers. See our thing.
Yeah, and everyone on the team would understand that you're not being passive aggressive if you just link to the documentation, right?
Right.
But that saves time, right? And I think any time saved goes back into making the software better, or whatever. But yeah, so those are things that I'm trying to do, right? Is like establish that culture. I think this project is special in the way that it's long term. Like the client signed for the rest of the year. So we have time to do this stuff. It isn't like a quick setup and tear down. We have time to think about the team setup. We have time to think about implementing these processes. And honestly, like the client sees everything that we do in GitLab because I know for a fact that it spits out into their Mattermost instance, into a channel. Because one of the clients messaged me today and was like, love the communication, but I had to mute the channel. You guys are chatting. Which I thought was awesome. Like, he complimented us there. He wasn't complaining about it. He was like, I love seeing that. It's great. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a good project to be kind of like learning the ropes on.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so it's very different from what I'm used to, but I'm enjoying the learning experience. And like I said, there's tons of challenges besides code too. Like, how in the world are we going to do this in parallel without having a put it together ticket towards the end of the sprint where it's like the catch-all? Okay, we have a bunch of free-floating pieces. This ticket is to put it together. It's always ambiguous. And someone always gets screwed with a 3-point ticket. It's like half a week at the end of a sprint, But... Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really hard problem for me to solve, but I'll figure it out at some point.
Sure you will.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add at this point.
That's good. Hopefully, I enjoyed that discussion. Hopefully other people did too. And I would welcome like any feedback from people too that have more experience. Like I can't imagine what it's like for Thomas, for example, to be working with larger teams because, my team is 3 devs, a producer and a designer and client partner. And, it's not huge. So I can't imagine what it would be like working on a team with like a half a dozen people or a dozen people that are all working and get at the same time. Like imagine the rebasing that would have to happen. Yeah, like Paul was saying in the chat, like it feels huge though. Like having PRs enough from 3 people stacking up feels big enough.
Yeah. You can't reach through too many layers. That's the problem. In your structure, not just in your code, but in your human meat space.
Oh, so we need Eric to come up with the second book, Grokking Simplicity for the
Grokking Simplicity Management Edition.
Yeah, like Paul was saying, thinking back to Octopus and DK, like what we did in the past, and just being like, wow, like we could make software, but man, we could have like made better software. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess we can do the outro. Outro. I gotta move like starting tomorrow.
God, that's it. Last couple nights in Santa Rosa.
Well, I gotta boot up Valheim tonight, get my body back, and then pack the pack the computer up.
Priorities.
Valheim has been one of the funnest games I've played in a long time, simply for the fact that there's no manual for it, right? So unless you're like looking at YouTube, but there's no manual, and the step up, like, so there's biomes, right? So there's meadows, which is like the easiest one, and then there's black forest, and there's swamp, then there's mountain, and whatever else, and the difficulty level between them is insane. So
Okay.
we beat the swamp biome last night, and so we're like, yeah, we just beat the boss, we're good to go into the mountains now, because now we can. So the mountains are cold, and you'll freeze to death if you don't have like a potion or enough clothes. But of course, you haven't seen wolves yet, so you can't get pelts that keep you warm in the snow. So you start running up there and you just die, you just freeze to death. So anyway, we get up there, we get frost resist potions. We get up there, I'm running around, and then I get killed in the back. A wolf snuck up on me and killed me, and I was like, hold on a minute, I didn't know that wolves could sneak. Like, it crept up on me, it walked me down like a dog and killed me. And so then they came up to get my body.
Don't give Watson any ideas.
And they were killed too. And so then eventually I brought a bonfire up so we could stay alive.
Stack of bodies.
They got their bodies back. And a dragon comes out of the sky from nowhere.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then we're like, okay, we killed the dragon. We're freaked out. The wolves are around. We can hear them howling. Can't see them though. And then a rock monster comes down the hill. Like, we're just mining obsidian, and this thing pops out of the ground, and we just have to run away.
Run away.
So it's just super challenging, which I think I enjoy. It's very Dark Souls-ish, I've been told, in that it's very unforgiving.
Sure.
But yeah, so what's up?
Nothing. Sometimes you need a game to just kick you in the ass.
Yeah, it make you problem solve, right? It's kind of fun. So yeah, I had to get my body back, and then I had a lot of good stuff in my body. I don't want to lose it, so get my body back and then start packing stuff up. And then next week I'll be in Santa Cruz.
Cool.
Well, if anybody that's worked on larger teams, I guess Thomas kind of already chimed in the chat, like saying they just break bigger teams into sub teams, and you just have the same structure all the way down, right? It's kind of like what you said. Yeah. But I would love to hear more experiences. Like, I just have learned what I've learned firsthand and through reading books. Thanks again, Thomas, for that book. But yeah, I would love to hear more people kind of chime in what their experiences are, what's worked for them. And especially even like if you're working with a good manager, I would love to hear about what that experience is like, what makes them a good manager, and how it makes your life easier, what you appreciate. Because I just want my dev team to like me, I guess. I don't know. I want them to feel productive and do good work, but I don't want them to feel like stressed out, or, I want them to enjoy what they're doing. So if I can facilitate that in any way, I would love to hear from your experience.
You want to be the Leslie Knope of software developers.
Something like that.
You can reach us on Twitter about all those opinions, thoughts, comments, likes, dislikes. DNC Cast is our Twitter account. Sean is Sean Washbot, and I'm Rockwell.
As always, everything we talked about will be linked in the show notes. I don't think there'll be many today, unless you want to go to like Jira.com or like read about what Confluence is, maybe Agile or something like that. But yeah, if you are interested in any of those links, they'll be over at dnc.show.
What is this about a flea market? I'm busy over here. I'm doing hardware. I'm designing things. I'm building things. Things take space. I have space.
So like if you pan the camera to the left, you won't have like a rack of pelts over there.
I've got a shop vac. There's the rest of my shit. I got a stack of vinyls. I guess it could be at the flea market. Got the shop vac. Got all kinds of crap. We're also streaming every week on Twitch, Thursday, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, twitch.tv/DNCcast. We're chatting, we're streaming, we're talking. There's a lot of after show. Last week we talked with Eric for like an hour and a half after we ended the show. It was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome. We're doing it on Twitch. Come on by.
Got could have him on again.
Yeah, we definitely have to have him on again.
Yeah, speaking of that, we haven't made any final decisions, but we have some more guests in the pipe lined up. So we're hoping to do more of that content, like maybe book specific content, or author specific, or I guess guest specific content. So we really did enjoy that conversation, and it seemed like the community did as well. So we're going to try and line some more of that up. I think Thomas, that Harry and Meghan would be outside of our price range, but it would be a fun conversation. And then, I guess the other thing I wanted to bring up is I mentioned at the top of the show we have a Discord community, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of the Discord community. I enjoy seeing the people conversing there. I enjoy seeing the book club going on. I've had a lot of good conversations. I've learned a lot of great things just by people, sharing stuff in the Discord. So if you're looking for a community that's inclusive, that is about helping build each other up and helping each other learn and become better developers, designers, people even, then you definitely want to check out the DNC Discord. So like I mentioned, if you're listening to this in a podcast form, you should see a link to a Discord invite in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's going to be a link to the Discord invite in the comments. We just want to welcome anybody that wants to help other people be good people. So,
or if you want to play Valheim.
Or if you want to play Valheim or Factorio. We're thinking about starting a Death World up soon, which is infinitely harder. I have not been able to outlast the first attack myself. So if you want to fortify the base, as it were, you should definitely check out the Discord.
We've got a Minecraft server too.
Yeah, a Minecraft server. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yep. Is that it? I think that's it.
I think that's it. I spent the one weekend just going hard in the paint on Factorio and just kind of burned out on it. I haven't really played it since then, but I'm kind of itching to get back to it and start laying down the law and dictating where you guys should put your stuff, because it's everywhere. It's a mess.
The robots have it now. You've lost control.
Oh no.
You have personal roboports now. The Death World, it's going to be really interesting because it makes it way harder. It's no longer just a design problem. It's a survival problem, which in my opinion makes it more fun. But
interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll be moving, and then I'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. Good luck.
All right. See ya.
Bye. Why is your Death World blaze so clean? Because it's lean? Because you don't have probably because you just have it stripped down to be super efficient, I assume.
It's just guns everywhere.
Yeah, right. And walls? I guess you got to get walls. Where's audio hijack? Oh, because it's single player. Yeah, I gotcha. My light's pointing straight up because here's light off, light on, light off, light on. It's not as good. And if I have the light facing down, you get this awful monster lighting. So light up. Soft bounce lighting off the ceiling. Works well, actually. There's no light over here because it's a stupid fan. It's not very bright. Everyone's just committing main all the time. That's true, Paul. That's part of the problem, I guess.
Oh my God!
At least with Factorio, you can just abandon your base and start over, right? Just do greenfield. Start over.
So, Shy Ryan, do you have a Keylight Air or Keylights?
So I've got this one that I don't know. Someone got this for me. Just a little whatever this is. And actually, what we did is we strapped a Gorilla Pod to it. So, because Jess and I share this, so I just slapped the webcam on the Gorilla Pod, and I have the whole portable thing. I just bring it upstairs, bring it downstairs. It's you just grab it and it's 2 USB ports, and away we go. This works all right.
So I ask about the Keylight Air because I have one and I'm no longer able to connect the Elgato app to it. It's super annoying.
I had this view before, but Paul was complaining that the view from up there was better, so I don't know. You just get the wall here and more headphones.
I've tried resetting it and stuff too. I just can't get it to work. It just won't connect, like you're saying.
I really want to like screw around with the Stream Deck and see like customize it for Arch R, like do all radio buttons and stuff. The flea market.
Has your office been dubbed the flea market?
Apparently now. I don't even have the 3D printer going in the back.
Yeah, I just haven't wanted to like take the time to RMA it and all that stuff. I should probably do it though. I'm so glad that I took a day off before, like the day before the move.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. Yeah.
How soon after the move can we expect you to? Well, after I pay property tax.
I've also gotten the habit of taking extra, either ending my vacation a day early or taking an extra vacation day after I get back from vacation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Have that buffer day between coming home and not just immediately going back to work, because
I was straight up threatened that if they spotted me online, I'd be in trouble. It wasn't even my manager; it was one of my devs. Were like, if I see you online, you're in trouble.
Oh, Thomas, staying with your parents while you're house hunting. I did that for 6 months with my in-laws. It was fine. Would never do it again, but it was fine. Jess was so stressed out, she chewed through like 2 mouth guards in her sleep.
Oof.
It was bad.
Moving across the country? Yeah, I'm hopefully done with those days. Nowhere to live yet? Hopefully you find something. Are you going east to west or west to east?
Virginia. I'll be right back.
Okay, the other way. It's a big move. Same for you, Thomas. Big move. Yeah, that's tough. We're trying to stop that pattern too, because that's tough. Nice. That's not bad, Ryan. Hey, what's up, Evo? That's tough, Evo. That's kind of what we're doing now, too. We're moving, and then we'll have to move again temporarily, then move back. And I'm not looking forward to that part of it. Oh man, now I'm like wiped out. I didn't realize how long of a week it had been. Like it went so fast, but it was a lot of stuff to get done. That's beautiful. That's awesome, Ryan.
Housing market's insane right now. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even talk about Firebase at all. I totally forgot about
Damn.
that.
Save
Shield
it.
for Google. Well, maybe I'll have time to like finish the actual like rebuild of it, and then I can just be like, "Here's the thing, it's
be
on
cool.
Firebase."
Soft
Yeah.
launch.
Yeah.
You guys keep talking about it. I've looked at it. Not at all. Like
In
I'm
a
really
janky way.
I'm really curious about it.
If you're okay with, well, I guess you can use whatever pieces of it you want. You don't have to use all of it, but
How do I know Google's not just going to cancel it? Like they've just shut down so many other things.
I imagine it makes them a good chunk of money.
Or it goes the way of parse.
Is it all functions? I mean, you could use Firebase functions for everything. Right?
The slowest, most inefficient form of a function. I love how like server like functions are like a thing when .NET and SOAP invented them 20 years ago.
That's how you know they're good.
Yeah, they just weren't ready. The world is not ready yet for functions in the cloud. .NET 1.0, man. Web services, XML, SOAP. You could literally add a dependency to your project that was just a URL, and it would just pull in the WSL file or whatever it was called, and WSDL, web service, WSDL, I think that was it.
Can't you just do
you
that
just
with like Go or Dino or whoever?
I don't know. Can you? Like,
Yeah.
well, this would literally just be pointing at a URL, and it would consume the schema, and then create classes for you. You just do .complete everything, and you just call functions, and they're just running in the cloud.
Yeah, PubSub is what I was looking at a little bit for this project that I'm redoing, Ryan, with Firebase. Like I started looking around at the code, and the fact that they have the PubSub stuff looked nice, and the fact that they just have like the cron jobs built in too. You can just set up a cron thing that just fires whatever serverless function you need when you need it. It's pretty nice.
I just do everything in Gopher now. I write my Gopher apps.
Protobuf? Oh.
Protobuf 1 or Protobuf 2?
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
contentious thing to think.
I'm just waiting for the day that I get a project at MetaLab where I have to think about this stuff. Use gRPC a lot, way? How do you like it? Rails like an idiot.
No. Rails is great. Don't get on. Don't listen to all these hype people. Rails is fine. Rails is great. Rails is better than ever.
I've heard good things about message back. Hey man, if you can build something on Rails and be that, more power to you.
I'm not being sarcastic. You sound like I'm being sarcastic. I'm not.
I'm not either. The dream would be able to make a profitable company on a monolith like that.
Sure. That's what we did. Oh, spilled some rum. It's all good. It's just on my night shirt. It's not on the computer.
Oh, you mean like GitLab? Yeah.
You GitLab Rails? Is it? It's Thursday night.
GitLab is Rails, yeah.
Thursday's like the Friday of Friday. I can drink on a Thursday.
I did 4 interviews with GitLab back in the day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
if it can't be built with Rails, it probably shouldn't exist anyway.
I mean,
I love that mentality. I love it.
When else would you be drunk? 11:30.
We're talking AM or PM? Thirsty Thursday, my friend. I still use Rails because I'm faster at it than I am at Phoenix. I have both. I literally have an application of Phoenix and Rails applications, both pointing at the same database, and yeah, I don't know. It's fine. Like Rails 4. Yeah. Oh, Roblox. Roblox just Roblox. How do I even pronounce that? I keep
Roblox.
feel like I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, they just IPO'd this week.
Because, Paul, it's not the tool that I'm familiar and comfortable with.
That's right. Pitchforks out. It's not cool to be boring, Paul.
What's up, Thomas?
Thomas, how come you're not making dinner while we record anymore? We need updates from the kitchen. What you got going on back there?
I feel like I could sleep for 1,000 years right now.
Why do you need anything when you just do everything in FileMaker Pro? Or HyperCard?
I was going to say HyperCard. Back in the day.
Beat you to it, man. That was the shit.
You know what? It might be because I have a fan blowing in my eyeballs, so my eyeballs are dry. That's why I'm feeling tired. Let me move it.
Sounds like a win-win, Thomas. Just normal. That seems atypical. A bunch of normal Elixir applications and then one web server Phoenix application. I mean, I guess it totally depends on your application. I don't know what you're doing over there, but I know a lot of people like Sean, like you use Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're really good at it, but like you almost never touch the OTP side of things.
Not really,
You're just
no.
doing straight up Rails style. Yeah.
Postgres.
That's not like a bad thing. It's just like the way of, it just depends on what you're working on.
Yeah, we didn't really have a super need for a lot of the OTP stuff yet. We were like eventually going to get to that point.
Right.
But we hadn't got to that point. I mean, it's still running right now. I still have to upgrade Postgres because Heroku's deprecating. But
Heroku's getting increasingly like annoying about it.
Yeah, I just don't hear anything about it. It's just running. Like there's no unbounded tables or anything, so I don't have to like worry about that. It's just making money every month.
I have two things in my backlog that involve like one is Apple push notifications. They sent me an email. They're like, "Hey, we're disabling TLS 1.1 or something. Make sure your thing supports TLS 1.2 or something like that." And like, I don't even know. Oh no, that's Postmark. I'm thinking of the Postmark one. We use Postmark for sending our emails, and it's like, make sure TLS 1.0 is disabled. Disable this, add HSS. Like, I don't even know how to know if I'm doing this, and they're changing this over in a month. I don't even know how to test if my setup is ready for it. And the Apple push notification thing is the same thing as like, make sure you're not using this old deprecated protocol. I'm like, I don't know, I'm using some Phoenix thing called Pigeon. I assume it's up to date. I guess I'll find out when my push notifications stop working. Lots and lots of Broadway. That's really interesting.
All right, Shy Ryan's gonna be on the show soon. Then
I think so, because I looked at Broadway and I had trouble coming up for a use case for me that would be useful for anything that I do. So I stopped trying to learn about it. But it seems really, really, really cool. Like task async stream and just streaming alone gets me like 90% of what I need. So it's fine in terms of managing flows of things. So I've not had to deal with the kind of problems that Broadway solves.
that was DK too. Yeah, as long as we're streaming stuff, we're good.
Mm-hmm. You don't have bursty bottleneck kind of issues where you have to distribute the loads and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Broadway is cool. Shy Ryan, have you been following up on the NX? It's called NX. Jose's newest project, a machine learning thing. Have you been following on that at all? I know they're making a lot of noise about it because it's Jose's next big opus.
What a potty mouth, Paul.
What happened?
Did Nightbot? I bet Nightbot did that. Nightbot's salty.
Yeah. The naming things is not good.
Oh, you put asterisks. Gotcha.
What they stole? What's the thing in the browser called?
Mix.
Well, Mix is the Laravel thing.
Mix
right?
was probably around. Elixir Mix was probably around before Laravel Mix, though.
Lumen. That's what I was thinking of. Lumen is something else.
It's a Laravel. It's slimmed down.
Good job, Paul.
Where's Nightbot on that one?
Paul, we have a code of conduct. Let me point you to it. Actually, I don't think there's anything there about cursing. Is there?
I don't think any of us care about that.
Is Lumen written in Rust? That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Livewire. A lot of things have kind of bubbled up to the surface at the same time, and involving Hotwire and Livewire and LiveView and
Livewire was definitely announced before Hotwire.
Hotwire is the newest thing that I know of.
Yeah. And Livewire was based off of LiveView.
Livewire was based off of LiveView. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Livewire's Laravel.
And there was like a Ruby project from a long time ago that was trying to do it, but never really. Okay, sorry, Matt. It just whoosh, right over our heads. I have some juicy LiveView gossip that I'm gonna DM you, Sean.
Oh.
I can't say on the stream.
Yeah, you can't say that on the stream.
No, I definitely can't.
That's messed up. I'm just kidding.
The bot would ban me.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. We're working on getting some cool guests lined up, though.
Yeah, we've got at least 2 in the pipeline. We need to work out details with them, but we got 2 guests coming up in the next probably several weeks, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'll be cool. We'll let you guys know when we know.
Ninja. Queb, when
you
you
got
coming
us.
on the show?
You got us.
Teach us about design.
We should do like a Discord feature where like, can we just do a free for all where we just record, like we get everyone in the Discord channel and just record it as an episode?
Sustained disruption of discussion.
I don't know about sustained.
Also known as the combo breaker rule.
Thomas has a possible guest connection for you. If it's not, what's his face? God.
Satya.
Yeah, I was thinking Satya, but who's the, oh my God. I'm totally blanking. I've been near Satya. We were in a room once together.
I mean, we were too.
That's true. Scott Hanselman. If it's not Scott Hanselman, I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it.
Jessica Alba's hand. Gross.
Checks out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Explains some things. So are we, Green Jenny?
I'm still impressed by the feeding operation that happened at Ignite. There was the most. How many eggs do you think were in that room?
Very efficient. Very efficient. Like, I feel like we barely waited in line for food, and there was just always food.
How many eggs do you think were in that room, though?
Eggs.
Yeah, like scrambled eggs.
Eggs. Well, let's see. So how many people were there? Like 20,000? 15,000? Call it 15. Each developer eats like probably 2 eggs. Probably only half of them actually ate the eggs. So I think 7,000. I think 14,000 eggs. 15,000 eggs.
That's unreal. So many eggs. It makes me weird. It weirds me out thinking about it. It weirds me out going to Costco and looking at all the bacon just sitting in there.
You ever? Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't like. I think like large numbers of things make me feel weird. Like
Large numbers, just like a big slab of meat won't bother you, but like 54 eggs will.
well, like a Costco. Like imagine how much bacon is just in Costco right now, and then think about
Imagine how
many-
much bacon is in Costco right now. Can it be the title of this episode?
the amount of pasta at the deli. Okay, one of the things that grosses me out the
No,
most.
pasta salad. Pasta salad.
One of the things that grosses me out the most is like when we're driving past San Francisco, I see all these hills, like houses everywhere.
Yeah.
Every house is like just dusty closets. And like piles of old clothes in them. It grosses me out. Like stuff under the fridges, you know? Like how much gunk can you scrape out of all the fridges?
You got some unresolved things there, Sean, we should talk about sometime.
And people need to clean their houses.
Then what would you wonder about as you drive past them?
Not about how gross they are. More Zoho, cheap knockoffs of good software. The unresolved issue is that I got sandblasted by a chicken at a fair one time, straight in the eyeballs. Bunch of dirt and dust.
That's it. That was the defining moment.
Yeah. Sensei was there. Sensei was busy not getting kicked by the cow, though. He was walking through in the kick defense position.
I think Sensei's playing Valheim right now. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he probably is. He wasn't about to get kicked by that livestock, though.
No, he's here. He's here.
They were pretty big. A shooting gallery, yeah. You just legs pointed at you. It was like a barn, right? You could
A lot of
walk.
math. A lot of methane.
How did you find replacement Vim? It's /s for substitute, and I can link you to the docs if you want. I could type it maybe. But
Instead of trying to explain it, he just says, I'll link you to the docs. This is the Vim way of doing things.
you got to use some slashes and an S.
You got to go to the man page.
There you go.
Yeah, Paul, thank you. Oh.
Oh, God. The remapping has started.
Why would you do that? Oh, my God.
Did you remap it before learning the actual feature, though? Oh, plugins too, huh? The missing motion for Vim. Oh, yeah, I don't like Sneak, really. Like, you could do that by just doing / and typing your search, and then N and N to move around.
Sultan, you keep trying to... Is he in the chat here?
He's in Discord.
Trying to push Colin on us.
Colin seems fine. Kator seems pretty cool, too, to be honest, looking at it.
Still waiting for Swift on the server. One framework to take hold.
calling all the things. Yeah,
There's a
I think
survey. He linked to a survey that has a total of 8 people that were reviewed. Seems like not a very thorough survey.
Hey, bud. Come here, bud.
TextMate 3. I thought Notepad++ was good enough for anyone. Yeah, that's the thing, Matt, is all the websites are really nice, but none of the frameworks have, last I checked, have really taken a hold or become the sort of de facto standard, which kind of makes me wary of adopting anything.
Hey, bud.
It's been a while since I've looked, though. Web objects. I mean, Apple still uses it, I'm pretty sure. For like all of iCloud.
Oh, Emacs, huh? I used Spacemacs for a few weeks.
There's a Smalltalk web framework? I have no idea.
Watson came out and said hi.
That's it. Now he's out.
No, I'm scratching his hip.
Oh. His highs go down?
Mostly, yeah.
That's good.
The steroids make quick work of it.
Yeah, they do. APL CGI scripts. Now I think we've jumped the shark.
There's an assembly web framework.
I mean, I guess if you need to run a a web framework off a PIC microcontroller, you could do that. Oh, are we talking assembly or WebAssembly? I'm still on a mission to get my IBM 5155 online. I think I'm almost there. I happened to buy a serial to Ethernet adapter the other day for totally unrelated reasons, but then I realized that it has Ethernet modem mode, which means that it'll emulate like an old school serial modem that you hook into your phone line, except it's just Ethernet. So in theory, I think if I can wire that up to my, just do serial port to my IBM, I think I could get on like do Telnet and IRC and Gopher and all that stuff. What are we looking at? Where are we going? Oh, we're on the move here, folks. Oh, hey, buddy. His ear's broken. Sean, his ear is broken. This will not stand. Fix his ear. Thank you.
Watson. Hey, come here. Come here, bud. Hey,
Do a
bud.
trick. Oh, those eyes.
He's going under the desk.
Does he fit under there?
Yeah, kind of.
He looks sad. Why does he look sad?
He's always like this. He is a little sick still, so.
Oh, yeah. Is there any Sublime out?
Sublime 4, yeah. Well, it's
Wait,
not like
really?
out, but yeah.
Ooh. I'm already 2 editors removed from Sublime at this point.
Where you going, buddy? Oh, he's like leaning against my knee now. Hey. They can't see you. I guess they can look at your butt. Is that what? Hey, buddy.
Nova is... Oh, yeah, I forgot about Nova. I really was curious about that, too. Like, why... why did they release Nova
Good boy.
as a man? There's already so many editors out there. What could they possibly have done better?
Oh, now he sits down when I put the camera back.
Oh. Can a native Mac code editor really be that much better? Find out. Download Nova for free. Apparently we're already on Nova 5? Is that true?
I think
auto completion of code.
I think a lot of the editors have that now. Like JetBrains has their own AI thing. I know VS Code does too.
VS Code's one has bitten me so many times because it auto completes like misspelling of words. Like it'll guess the name of something, but like make it off by one letter that I've never typed anywhere once in my project, just because it tried to complete a word that didn't exist or something. Weird. It was super weird. Did not like that at all.
Mac is a new buzzword. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Morwick? That is my dog Watson.
We got to put him on the website. We should take Mikhail off, put Watson on.
What's the deal with AI machine learning you hear about? Like, what does it do in the real world?
Is the deal?
So, I guess one of the quintessential examples would be like image recognition, right? Like there are a lot of services out there that you can pay monthly to, like, let's say you're running a furniture site, right? And you have a whole department of people that their whole job is to, when images come in, they have to classify the images. This is a sofa, this is a chair, this is a table, this is a desk. It's brown, it's leather, it's whatever. With machine learning, you can basically show the computer a bunch of tables, a bunch of chairs, a bunch of brown tables, a bunch of green chairs. And after a while, the computer can essentially, like the model can essentially learn like, oh, this is probably a green chair. This is probably a table. And so instead of having a whole department that might be slow and error prone, you feed images through a machine and it can tell you, it can classify the stuff like way faster for you. So that's like one small example of machine learning. What is it coded with? You can code, like you can train machine models with like a number of different languages. Yeah, like Green Jenny saying you can get a machine that's fast and error prone. Yeah. More awake. A lot of machine learning stuff happens, like Python's a popular language for it. No, yeah, no worries. Yeah, Python's a really popular one. JS is another one as well. Not nearly as popular for machine learning as Python, though.
Yeah,
There's
so
like
what they do is,
or whatever.
Usually what happens is the actual machine learning itself is done. It's really, really computationally expensive. And so you can do it on a CPU at a really, really low level with like with C, for example, right? Something that's really close to the metal. Or you can do it in a GPU. You can use all the parallel computing of a graphics processor to actually just crunch numbers for you, because that's all it is. And guess what? GPUs, graphics cards are really good at crunching numbers in parallel. That's what they do to like render games. So generally, the really like low level machine learning libraries are the actual number crunching is done at these really, really abstract levels that like are even too low level to understand, and then they wrap that on top of languages that are easier to feed data into it. So like Python and Raspberry Pis and GPUs. Yeah, that's the thing that people do a lot. You can get a bunch of Raspberry Pis and make like a cluster, right? So you have 3, 4, 8, 16, whatever, and you can use the CPU power on them and do all the processing in parallel to generate these models based off of whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to train it with. So
a
Beowulf cluster. That's a real thing. That's a real thing that people do. God, Beowulf cluster. I haven't heard that term in a long time.
Midget strippers. Where are these midget strippers you keep seeing? Oh, the dog in the back?
I mean, He is naked.
Yeah, he is. He's wearing just a collar, I guess. He went in the other room. He's probably going to sleep now. He's still on his
Beowulf
medicine. Oh, he's coming back. Oh, he got his bone.
Green Jenny, what are you referencing there? Because I'm trying to, like, I recognize that and I'm drawing a blank. It's some flash animation or something, right? Oh, it was a slash dot meme. Okay. That's right. Something about inanimate carpet rod and God, all the slash dot memes. Those were the days. That's okay. We know how to code and we still don't know what we're doing. So it's fine.
Wishing you knew I could code or where to start it all. I mean, we can. There's a lot of people here in the chat too that could point you in the right direction for getting started.
That is true. It's literally all we talk about. Bang Discord. There you go. What's the deal with Roblox? Can someone explain Roblox to me? In layman's terms. Anybody? Bueller? Minecraft with public.
So yeah, instead of private servers, it's like a public server you get on.
Oh. Second Life. Okay. Got it. They look like little Lego people, right? They have cylindrical heads. You can make me off it somehow. A global platform that brings people together through play. The kids love it. I go to the website and immediately am accosted with a sign-up form.
Yep.
No information, nothing, just a sign-up form. Gender optional. Birthday, username, password, sign up. Gender, that's it. It all runs on Ethereum blockchain. I don't know if you're joking, but I wouldn't be surprised if you were serious. Should I buy stock in Roblox? RBLX. Let's see how they're doing. $73. It's not bad. It's not like who was the one that recently? Oh, Airbnb went public and they immediately tanked.
Wow, they have a lot of jobs open. Like a lot of jobs. Backend developer services. Let's see if we can suss out some tech here. Fluent in languages like C#, Java, or Go.
I misremembered that Airbnb went to the moon.
SQL Server, MySQL, and DynamoDB.
You downloaded Nova, Rebel. It said that gender was optional. You don't have to pick any of those two. Yeah, they just went public yesterday. DigitalOcean's going public soon. Gotta get on that train. I hear that bone crunching.
Yeah, he's digging into that bone.
What's their tech stack? What are we looking at for jobs here?
They mentioned C#, Go, or Java, and they mentioned MySQL, MSQL, and DynamoDB.
Undefined. The ultimate gender. Is that why JavaScript is so... does that make JavaScript very LGBTQ friendly? Undefined gender? Something like that. There's a joke there somewhere. I'm not tactful enough to make it.
Someone clips that. Downfall of DNC.
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get going soon.
Yeah. Not a gender.
D stands for canceled.
Mikhail's gotten a 3D printing train, You're missing out. The train's leaving the station.
Oh, he did?
Look at this. He printed a thing for holding his accessories for his shark vacuum. Look at this. This is great. Sean, think of all the things you could be building.
I just have to move first. I'll just give everyone a tour, and then you all can just like suggest the projects I need to be doing.
Suggest. If you have a choice. Well, all right, I'll let you go play Val. Yeah, I'm
super tired now, man.
I see it in your eyes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. It's cool. It seems like every week there's more and more people. I think we hit like almost 20 at some point earlier.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
You guys are the best. Yeah, look at them all. Look at them all. We got this random guy coming in, Morowick. That was awesome. If he's still here, thanks for stopping by. I don't think he is, but he came in and we talked about AI for 30 seconds. That was cool.
Yeah, Ryan. Let's chat about that. If you want to come on the show and talk about Broadway, we'd love to have you on.
It could be cool. Discord feature. We should have like a name for it, like featuring someone on our Discord on the show.
Yeah, that's what I've been wanting to do is like have community shows where people from the community come on and just talk tech with us too.
Community shows. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'm trying to. After I do move, I'll have a little more time where I can cut up like segments and put them on YouTube and stuff like that. So
community spotlight.
Yeah. Something. Do something.
Something.
For Patreon members.
Patreon members only.
Thomas is head of business development.
It's all this Microsoft money getting to his brain.
Billion? Is that like a Billy on the Street reference?
Programmer on the street. We're just just run up to developers at conference and just yell like opinions at them and see what they say.
He's one of my favorite characters on Parks and Rec, where he's just like
he's so great.
He's just yelling
so
at everyone.
It's just like his one character. Like he's totally typecast in that character. But can you imagine like running up, like being at a developer conference and just running up to someone, just being like, "Tabs are spaces, tabs are spaces, tabs are spaces."
Yeah, that'd be weird. It could get weird. Go time is unpopular.
Get
opinions.
weird with it.
Hey, I like that. Unpopular opinion segment.
Ooh, get spicy in here.
But if any
name
of my
a language. Name a language. Is that like name a woman? Was that the one I saw recently? Name a woman. Oh my God, that was so great.
Language ecosystem doesn't
Thomas.
matter. Nova uninstalled. That was fast.
That was a story in 3 acts. We didn't even get the second act. It was just installed, uninstalled.
All right, everybody, I'm out for real this time. Catch you in a week.
All right.
Too bright for my bar. That's funny. For sale, one hitter, never used.
Wasn't circular enough.
Oh, Paul just hit him.
Rounded direct enough.
Paul's got him on the ropes. See you, everybody.
Bye.